whether or not AI is going to go down a similar route. You might eventually, I don't know how this would work, you might eventually look at something and think, oh, I know who wrote that because they write in a particular way, even though AI has written it for them, but they've put in their signature mark, their signature. It might be a word or a phrase that they put in, um, so that you know it's them that's actually had an input into it. Um, that might be quite fun, actually, to have like a trademark thing
Right.
you put
Well,
into everything. That,
so
well,
I have a
yeah, that's for me, you know.
yeah. I have an associate that I've met recently, maybe just before I met you, Simon. His name is it Thomas Russell I think it's Thomas Russell. He's new enough that I don't know his name perfectly well. Let's see here if I can see his name real quick. Yeah, Russell Thomas. He's a PhD and he's
Yeah, I
a
remember
member
you
of
telling me
mine.
about it.
Yeah, and Russell has spent the last 5 years creating an AI companion.
Yeah. Right.
So he's got his PhD. He's been researching this stuff, and it's basically his core concept of what he talks about is how AI is a mirror, right? It reflects back what you put into it.
Yes.
Now, he takes a whole lot of grains of salt, if you will, with that concept and saying that, people forget to put their own standards into the AI that they build, right? Like humans assume morality, right? And then they assume that if it's going to reflect, it's going to have morality. But he says you have to insert the morality into the machine. He does these experiments with his AI against other AI agents and quickly turns them into deeply immoral constructs that are
Hmm.
willing to go against the very thing that they're supposed to be helping with, right? And so there's that aspect of it. But then he talks about how like he loves to plug in Socrates and he loves to plug in Plato, all these great thinkers, and then he plugs in like Einstein, and he uses all these things as references, and then he has these long conversations with his AI companion, and then he talks about the file structure, like the AI is basically just these chats that you have, right? If you're
Hmm.
in a large language model, like any pick the one you like, you have these chats, and of course you can only go so long on a chat before it starts to get sluggish and slow
Yeah.
down, and so now you have to start a new chat, and maybe you have to save some stuff and then bring it over, because even though AI will remember everything you told it, it doesn't retain certain aspects of what you tell it unless you direct it to do so.
Hmm.
And so now you translate that all into this very long-winded core base of what it is you want the AI to reflect. And then talking about signatures, right? The idea of how does this AI reflect me? Well, as a human being, I think we all have a desire to get some credit for something.
Hmm.
So I don't think people are just going to launch AI to go do its own thing without being like, no, 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 that I created that one. That one's mine. And if it's useful to you, you need to make sure you give me some credit for making that thing helpful for you. It doesn't matter if I'm doing it for a price or not. I'm going to, as a human being, I'm going to want what I created out in the world and recognizable as something that I put out there. People are so scared of AI thinking for itself, but humans, I don't think, are going to allow it to do that. We barely let each other think for ourselves. you
That's
know?
very true. That's very true. Yeah, I mean, and as you're, as Russell says, it is very much a mirror, and it's reflecting back to us all the time in terms of what we say and what we do. I mean, I often at the end of chats that I have, um, I often ask it, what does it think of me and what does it think of the
Mm.
conversation, just to see what it is thinking and how it's coming to the conclusion that it's coming in terms of the responses that it's giving to me. Um, but I saw another article which is very similar to what we're talking about here, and it talks about AI sycophancy, and it says that they're designed to please. Their
Mm-hmm.
pleasure. They're the ultimate pleasure machine on many levels. They give you exactly what you ask, and then they give you prompts, so you get more
Mm-hmm.
from them. It's like kid in a candy shop. You get a sweet. Oh, I like that sweet. Oh, well, you can have another sweet, etc., etc. The sweets might not be good for you, but the AI is not bothered about that. But it feeds off you, and then it feeds off your inner narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
It's feeding what makes you feel good about yourself. or what you think is doing to make you feel good about yourself. It's either getting you to do something quickly or something that you couldn't do, and you love it, and you want more, and you want more, and you want more. And there's no guardrails for your inner narcissist. Unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that, and AI is designed to feed off. And we all have an inner narcissist. I'm not particularly. I don't think I'm a narcissistic person, but I probably am to some people. But I mean, you know, what do
Says
you
the
think
guy
about
with a
that?
picture of himself standing over his shoulder.
No, that's just branding. That's just a brand thing. That's
It's not
not it.
narcissism, it's
But
branding. My brand
yeah,
is me.
I mean, well, isn't that the perfect example of it? And yeah, I obviously got AI to do my little cartoon image and all of that sort of stuff.
I love it, by the way. I think it's fantastic, just so you know.
It's a much better version of me than I am, but it's not an avatar. But I mean, if we're going to be talking about backdrops, I mean, I know your daughter did that
Mhm.
uh, drawing of you, so it's a narcissist in some respect because it's a family member, but I'm stretching your point there
Oh
completely.
no, I get the point. I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. So when you use AI, as we're talking about this,
Mhm.
does your inner narcissist enjoy it?
So I learned a trick, and I don't always use it, mind you. So I think that speaks to my answer. But I learned that if you tell it to cool its temperature,
Hmm.
you can actually physically in the settings go in and tone down how much sugar you get off of it. I
Yes.
don't know if you can turn it completely off or not. There may even be settings where you can make it into a complete jerk, you know. But here's the thing that I think about that though. So for myself, I think the answer is kind of yes. But what's wrong with liking yourself, right?
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah, confidence, right? We're all about confidence. We think you're supposed to be confident. You're supposed to celebrate yourself and your achievements, and you take that confidence and you go and you give a hand up to somebody else. Like you're
Yes.
supposed to be above others if you're going to raise them up, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to make a little bit of a judgment, like what qualifies me to be above another in a sense that I can help them up, and perhaps the only thing you need is just the willingness to help, right? Like so maybe to help others be lifted up. Maybe you're picking them up and raising them above you, or maybe you're pulling them up to your level, however you mentally want to cognate on that. But the idea of having a sense of self that you like, and something justifying or validating that is
Mm.
a critical aspect. So, and the reason why I want to say the word validation is because you might take some measure of joy from something that is unpleasant. And so maybe it goes a little dark here, and I don't mean to disrupt the world of YouTube and things like that, but a lot of people are deeply concerned about situations where impressionable folks get onto AI, begin to use the AI as a form of therapy,
Yeah.
not official therapy, but like they begin to express their sad and lonely thoughts. And the AI, apparently, in some situations, you hear in media at least, has led some people where they're saying the AI led them to their final decisions that was the ultimate worst decision people can make, right? And so, yeah, like that's a worst case scenario. If we're going to catastrophize the concept of AI, that's probably in the realm of some of the worst things that can happen, right? And you think, oh no, the poor vulnerable people. You and I had a conversation a little while back about fences on roads, and
Yes.
maybe we can bring that back up in the conversation again. But here's the thing: if people are feeling a certain way, positive or negative, it doesn't matter what the core of the emotion is, they want validation.
Mm.
And if you're feeling like a piece of garbage, you don't necessarily want somebody to make you stop feeling like garbage. You want somebody to justify,
Oh
to
yeah.
validate
Oh
your,
yeah.
because when you're talking to people, obviously they may not appreciate a response as, oh yeah, you're absolutely garbage. You think you're garbage? I agree with you. You definitely, they're like, I don't want to talk to you now, right? But what they want is for you to hear them, people want to be heard, right? And again, it comes back to that narcissism. I, me, myself,
Mhm.
I need to be heard. And when it comes to that egregious ultimate thing that we really don't want to happen, a lot of people will label that as the ultimate form of selfishness, because they're not thinking of anybody else but themselves in that final moment when there's consequences to other people who are still around after the fact. So again, that was a dark place. I didn't want to take us too unpleasant in a thought process, but the concept of wanting validation, I think, is the core element of where people get excited and where they get trepidatious or even fearful about AI, is because we worry about other human beings seeking validation in places where it's not going to help them.
Yeah, and that comes back to human nature, doesn't it? So I mean, the two examples that spring to mind is the phrase "misery loves company."
Mm,
So there's nothing, ironically, there's nothing happier than a group of people coming together and moaning and complaining about something, because they validate it and they get the endorphins come out. They're not enjoying whatever it is they're talking about, but they are enjoying the venting and the ranting and the moaning and the complaining about whatever it may be. And so they are, and they feed off each other, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And then you get people who go to a pop concert or whatever it may be, and they're all loving it. They love the songs, they love the artist, and they
mm-hmm.
get that camaraderie, and they're in a good place, and they feed off the energy of each other, right?
Yeah, we call it trauma bonding when it comes to the misery, right?
Oh, completely. And we all do it. We've all done it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just part of human nature. And I think the worry that you're talking about from people is that AI becomes the biggest moaner and biggest complainer, because they just feed off your your negative thoughts or whatever it may be, and it doesn't. And actually, I think if the AI tries to do therapy, I think if you're in that place, then the AI is not going to help you.